Hi, I'm Ms. Bone, and I teach AP Government here at the DCL STEM Academy along with Ms. Silva. And while we teach the courses somewhat differently, we also teach the same content and the same skills. So here's just a brief overview of what we cover and how we cover it. This is AP Government and Politics, specific to United States government and politics. So here's what to know. First off, there are five broad subjects or five broad units in AP Government and Politics. They're usually in this order, but sometimes they are changed if it's an election year and we want to cover elections during the elections, for example. Regardless of the order, they are Foundations of American Democracy, where we learn about ideals from the Enlightenment that led to our democracy and our founding, events and documents of our revolution that led to the government we have today. Interactions among branches of government. So we learn how the judicial, legislative, and executive branches, along with the bureaucracy, interact and work together about their separation of powers and their checks and balances. We learn about civil liberties and civil rights, and you learn also about the history of those rights and how people have fought for them over time. American political ideologies and beliefs. Where do people's ideas come from and how do they differ? And also political participation. How are ways for people to become and how are they participating in our government structure today? And how do they need to be participating in order for our democracy to be successful? As we do this, there are 10 main documents that are required by the AP board that will be covered on the AP exam. Now, of course, we learn about additional documents as well, whether it's something that was written by Lincoln or Frederick Douglass or at the Seneca Falls Convention. But these are the 10 ones that we know solidly. So we have ones, our original Constitution, which is the Articles of Confederation. We then have our Constitution and its Bill of Rights, and also the Federalist Papers that explained how that Constitution works. Specifically, Federalist 10, 51, 70, and 78, though we might address some of the other ones. We also learn about Brutus and his writings as an anti-federalist and why he found some parts of the Constitution concerning. And then we jump ahead in time to the 1950s and 60s and the civil rights movement, and we read Letter from a Birmingham Jail and how Dr. Martin Luther King embraced many of those ideals that are expressed in the Declaration and protected with the Constitution. We also cover these 15 cases. I don't need to read them all here, but you might see that some of them look familiar to you. Besides these cases, we do talk about other ones, like it's important to know maybe about Plessy versus Ferguson if you want to understand Brown v. Board, or the more recent Dobbs decision as we learn about Roe v. Wade. We also learn about how historical eras affected these, why many of the cases from the 1800s were about federalism, while many from the 1900s were about civil rights. And we also review some of the cases going on with the current docket. So how we do this, we use a variety of different methods, and we learn different skills as we do it. It's important to know that we don't do this just to do well on the AP exam. Of course, that's a goal of ours, but our goal is to also become informed and productive citizens, civic-minded, to know how our government and our democracy works and how we should all play a part in it. It's also important to know that we do discuss things like media bias, how to analyze the news, and we do not teach to believe certain political viewpoints, but we look at all sides of the issues and respect whatever opinions people may have. We do this by looking at the news and analyzing it, discussing what's going on. Of course, we do practice for multiple choice questions on the test. We also practice for the written part of the test, which is called the FRQ, and we go over the 4 different types of those. We like to think that we are awesome. Well, we learn to be analytical, aware of the world going on around us, and active members of our society. And we do this by also watching C-SPAN and seeing what's going on in our government today and connecting it to what we're learning about for our required curriculum. If you have any questions about anything else related to this curriculum or its content, please feel free to contact either one of us and we'll help you as best we can. Hope to see you next year.